Olga's going to share her screen and show video on her iPad showing composition, saturation, and value, and go over what to do and not to do and how to fix it.
And these are not full lessons. This is a super quick overview.
It's a draw over.
Yeah. On my own illustrations from the past. So I'm going to share screen now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to share the screen.
Let's do it.
For the rest of this, I'm going to be looking down. So look at Sunny. Because I have my iPad down here. All right. So these are some of the pieces that we talked about in my art portfolio. This is the.
And you said this is Cinderella?
Yeah, it's like a take on Cinderella scene. And what I'm going to use this one for is to show an example of, excuse me, to show an example of a little bit of value in this one, but mainly composition is what we're going to be talking about in this one. So I turned the piece to black and white. This is an easy way of checking if the values are working. Yeah. So in this one, we were going to discuss composition. So I'm bringing this. Let me make sure I have the right layer and that I have a bright color and a pen. Okay. So in this one, we're going to discuss composition. I made already some notations here, but I guess I could just do it from scratch. Let's start again. So what works in this composition is using direction. So you see this chair. Let me go a little thinner here. It's creating some lines for you. It's directing the eye already towards the main character, which is here, the main action. The focal point is that. And if you follow, note that it's not so much a conscious thing, but it kind of becomes instinctively as you're doing it. So these lines that are going down are keeping your eye from floating away. It's a direction. There is a pattern. It's a rhythm, like you were saying in the other one, in the podcast. So you got 1, 2, 3 going down this way. And you have these strong diagonals. When you have a strong line, your eye naturally follows it. And it wants to see what's at the end of it. So what's at the end of it is the main character. Another thing that is helping this composition work is this section here. So the values here are all very similar. If you were to really, and this is a copy of a copy. So here we have the original, well, a copy of a copy and a print and a picture. So it's very blurry now, but you can see that you can still see the little individual pots and pans, but they're all falling within the same value. So if you were to squint, this all becomes one thing, one dark shadow. That's what's happening here. So you have one dark shadow here that is keeping you inside of the painting. It's not letting your eye go outside. It's stopping you right here in this line, right here.
Yeah, so that's everything is stopping your eyes from
wandering off. Exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to not to. Same thing here. This section here. If you squint or you see it from far, it should look like one solid. But when you see it close, you can clearly see there's a kitchen, there's something at the stove. So that would be like a secondary read. These things here are secondary reads. You see them after, but they're not so noticeable that you see them right away. So that's what helps the composition. And this thing here, you hardly see it. You see that? It's almost the same.
Is it something on the table?
It's just more, it's on the table. And it's hard to see it in black and white because it is the same value as the floor. So you see how it disappears in the black and white?
Yeah.
But it's a shape that pushes you in. It keeps that boundary from you going off to the right. But it's the same value because I don't want to attract attention to it. I don't, you see how it just says?
Yeah, but if you had made it darker, like you did the left corner, would it have made it too closed in?
It would have made it feel claustrophobic. See, if this would have been a dark shape, it could be done, but it kind of feels a little more claustrophobic. It just needed a little bit of breathing room. So that's why I didn't go with it. But there's many different choices that you can make. And
I
then one
also
little,
kind of, oh, sorry.
go ahead, no.
I also kind of feel like creates a little bit of repetition between your glow in the middle, and then you have that rounded curve down on the right side. And then you
Yes.
also have more rounded reflection curve in the window.
That's when you start seeing patterns.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you start, remember what we talked about in the podcast, how, I don't know why this is so thick, that your eye naturally goes to patterns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another thing we talked about, and I don't know if we talked about it in the podcast, the brain is kind of wired to see faces and to communicate with faces. So when you have a character, we didn't. Yeah. When you have a character that is looking at someone else, you will instinctively look at what that person is looking at. You want to follow it. And not just a person, but this is hard to see in this copy, but you see the dog in the corner?
His one eye.
He's looking. Yeah. And he's looking at what's happening. Mm-hmm. So if you happen to wander off into the, once you saw this, let me see if I can get a clean layer here. Once you see what's happening here, you start going, oh, I can go this way. Oopsie, sorry. Oh, I can't go here. So, well, I'm bouncing here. Oh, I'm bouncing here. Say you go here and you end up there. You go, wait, what is he looking at? Yeah. And he takes you back to the main action. But when you're doing this, you're not actually like instinctively doing this. Oh, I'm going to take him back. It just, I should say you're kind of instinctively doing it after a while, after you have done it for a bit. And there's still things that you could fix. Like this is an old piece, so I know that the perspective here is, oh goodness, I'm sorry. Let me see, open a new one. Like I can see the perspective here is wrong. You see how that window's off perspective a little bit? Those little things, if I were to do this again, I would fix it. I would make it better. But I'm not going to redraw any of this. This is an old piece. I won't use it anymore. Let's move on to the one that I had problems with saturation. So what is wrong here is that everything has the same color pureness. So not only is it could benefit from having a shadow in the back, not a shadow, but like a difference in value to push back the background. It's also the color saturation that is just everywhere. It's just a saturated. So I'm going to pick here, and you can see in the color wheel, see where it falls. I'm going to keep here. I'm going to pick in different areas, and I want you to see where it falls.
Okay, it might help. It might help to show you. Oh, I was going to say, but it might also help to show this in classic view, because it'll show it in the school. Could you just show it real quick? Could we just try that? Because for me, this shows the like do a color that's simple. Fine. Yeah, like you can see the how high it is on the
Oh, so you use the I use the disc and I already see it, but that's fine. It's the same thing. It's just showing you.
Well, it just
even our background that it should be falling back.
Yeah.
It like everything seems to fall. Look at this.
Pretty high. It's really high up on the.
You see this underside? It's an underside of the octopus, and look how bright
it is. Yeah, it's really bright.
Where the boy, and actually, what should be important in this is the relation. I got to go to the disc because that's how I pick it.
Oh, that's fine.
This is where you should be looking at, right? So that should be the first read, and then the secondary read could be these guys.
Yeah.
But right now, this is just as important as this, and this is just
or that green. I'm pointing at your screen. No, but that green on the thing. I don't know what he is. The slimy guy on the window. Yeah, that.
Yes.
That is really bright.
So he's stuck to the window. But exactly, every character is just as bright when the main character is this here, the eyeball with the eyeball monster with the kid. So this is just, and we didn't spend that much time, but this is just desaturating some of the colors from the outside. And can you tell the difference?
Oh, did you show it in black and white? To show the value?
There's a black and white.
Oh, okay, yeah. Is that the original?
That's the original. Yes, that's the original
Yeah.
with all the changes. So the value is
Yeah.
not too crazy bad. It could have been darker here in this corner. So going darker here would have benefited.
Mm-hmm. But still, the monster's legs are are the highest contrast on the page.
This is the
Where the
highest
monster.
one.
Oh yeah, oh that's true. But the big monster's legs are really bright.
Yeah, towards the front, towards the top. But you can change that. That's what I'm saying. We can change that with the saturation of the color. So you see how when I get closer to this here, let me make sure I'm on the right page. And I'm going to get a bright green because that's what I can see. So this is the action here. And this, I'm allowing it to be a little bit of pure saturation here, just to let you know that there's someone else here. But as I go further up, look where the color goes. Oh, let me put it in classic view for you. See how it's right here in the middle?
Yeah.
As opposed to what it was before, that was a bright.
Really bright, yeah.
Yeah, it was bright all the way here. Let me erase the changes I made.
Yeah, last time it was the whole leg. Yeah.
I'm in the wrong one. See, look, I'm erasing the changes. It was the entire leg was the same saturation in the color. So small little changes like that make a big difference from chaos to a little more focused. The next one we're going to look at is values. This is the piece that when I went to that portfolio critique, he mentioned the values are wrong. So that's what I came with. And when you see it, first of all, there were so many other things to fix here, but I did only like a little bit here to fix it. This is the main character. This is what he's telling the story. He's the most animated. That's what you want to see first, right? But he gets lost in the background. He doesn't pop up. So this is just a quick, very quick fix. I'm not even done. To show if the values read better, he pops out of the background.
That helps so much. Yeah, yeah, when you do that, because before the value of the floorboards was the same value as his shirt.
Right.
With before, not after you fixed it.
And it's still not done. Like there's so many other things to push here.
And the background, the door was the same value as his head.
This, the mouse here, the one that's the kid that's listening.
Yeah.
See, between the fire and the stone, like before, his nose was getting lost.
His nose is disappearing. Yeah, right? His nose is the same as the.
So that was a difference of lowering, making the lighter the background so that the foreground, his nose.
And I think the problem with a lot of illustrators, a lot of artists, when we think shadow, we think dark. So you think you know you're like, oh, it's in the shadow, it's in the background, it has to go darker. I need to go darker, but really, that's not the case. You can also, sometimes you want the shadow, the background to be a little lighter and the foreground to be darker. It depends on what you need, because that character, I'm pointing at the screen, like if you can see, is backlit. And like I say, it's not completely done because I just barely started doing these fixes. And I'm going to show you what a tangent is, which this one has a tangent. That's a tangent. Do you see it? His shirt wrinkle and the door frame. So no, I did not see that. It's so simple. But now that you see it, now that you know it's there, do you not see it? I do, yeah. Yeah. It's just, it cuts. Oh wait, I think I see another one, Olga. Probably. Okay. Well, no, you started to fix it. It looks like the baby mouse ear and the mom's cheek. Yes. Is very close. That should be a clear overlap. They're too close. They're just kissing. Yeah, because right now you don't know if the baby mouse is behind her head or in front of her head. So here's one that we talked about, not quite a tangent, but that uncomfortable space, this here. Oh yeah, I didn't see that one.
So what
I
would
don't know
make
how
it
you
more
fix that.
successful? Well, either he has to
Fade
go
out.
overlap it. If
Yeah.
I cannot change the floor, I would go ahead and fade out that line,
Mhm.
or I would overlap this character. If I move this character's head further
Yeah.
up, he goes behind her cheek and the
Mhm.
nose will overlap that line. Those little details. I mean, and you cannot catch all of them. It would be impossible.
Yeah.
But this character has the main action, and by having this tangent here, he's stuck to that wall now. He's stuck to that door frame behind him.
Part of the door.
So now his movements
Yeah.
of his arms as he's telling you this story, it's stuck.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah.
Another thing is you got to be careful that it doesn't cut. Sometimes like you have the hands, the neck. You don't want to cut those things because it will be more obvious still when you're doing that to a character.
Well, like, yeah, when you turned this to black and white, I hadn't seen the color in the corner. And I before you made these changes, it looked like the top half of his body was floating above his pants. Cause I couldn't differentiate the value of his white. It's well, I guess it's a yellow shirt in color, but on here it's very light and it was the same value as the floor. So it just looked like he's floating.
That's when color comes in. Like this could have had many fixes to it. So he would be warm. I could have cooled off that yellow. So you could have two yellows, but one could be cool and the other one could be warmed up.
Yeah.
Another little thing. So now that I see this tangent, it drives me crazy.
Yeah. So would you just fix his shirt fold? Is that how you would fix that? Like bring it down a little bit?
You would just fix that. I don't think I'm in a layer. Oh, I see. I'm on top of, let me put this layer on top of this so that I can draw over it. So yeah, you would fix that. I'll fix it right now. Another thing, this here is still too close for comfort, especially when you see it from far away. You see, look at that.
Yeah, it looks like it's interfering. Yeah, it's part of the door.
So if you're going to overlap something, especially on the main character, you do it a lot. You do it so it's a clear overlap and there is no question that this character is in front of that. Yeah. Or get rid of the frame. Just make it so that
it's causing you a lot of problems.
It is. It doesn't need it. And a thin shadow or something, there was not. Like if that is becoming such a problem, it's not needed. It's not telling anything. Not having that frame there is not changing the story. So you said, how would you fix this? Let me put it in black and get a thinner line. And we're going to talk about line quality. Another problem that this illustration has, it has no line quality. You notice how all the lines are the same thickness. So I'm destroying this illustration and it's mine, so it's fine.
It's a copy of a copy of a copy. It's fine.
But I could have used line quality to make a difference in the illustration, and we'll do that in a second. But if I wanted to clear that and fix this, what do you call it, this tangent, you just change the way the fold falls. You know, it could have been, I'm trying to get the right colors. Open the fold more. Change the direction of the fold. You know, anything that would have helped to break that tangent. Because even that little bit, just changing the angle. See how now they're not going on the same angle?
Yeah, it broke it away from that area.
This angle is going down, but this stops it from becoming a tangent. So line quality. I'm going to lower the opacity of this layer to show you how I can use line quality to help tell the story and to change things up so it's not so boring. Here you have a strong sweep. I like to use like a pencil for this. So I can go thicker here, but you see how the line becomes thinner as you go out? Some lines don't have to be there. some lines. This thick and thin helps to tell a story, helps to tell you, hey, this is the inside of this fold. We didn't even need line here because I already have a change of value. If I change the value of this, then I don't even need a line there. I just let the light sit on top.
Yeah, the highlight is the...
And that's enough to change the background from the foreground, and I don't really need a line there. So that's line quality. See, it makes it very boring to look at all of these lines being the same.
Now that I'm seeing you do this to me a lot. I think I would change the location of the candle.
I would too. And I know, and you know, it's funny. I was thinking that at the beginning because
just that middle candle. He's not in a good spot. That's also an uncomfortable thing sometimes.
Yeah. So this is something else that we catch a lot when we do portfolio critiques. We see patterns, we see faces, we see things.
The bread or corn that's on the table, I would put them in a different...
Or change it altogether to something else.
Yeah.
But this is a mouse, and this candle falls right where his genitalia would be. So it wasn't done on purpose. It was in the middle of the table. No. But you can take those are the liberties that you can take, and you just go like, well, but the candles needed to be in front of him. Okay, the candles can be
anywhere
off
on
to a
table.
side somewhere else. Yeah. But the problem is your mind creates these things that you didn't mean to do that. I think we talked about it in one other episode of having a dog. Say you have a dog here. This is an awesome dog. Look at that. And say his tail is going to be between his legs. I wouldn't put it here because, yes, I understand that is his tail, but it doesn't read as that. So you would put it on the outside. You would make it clear that is not your intention, that you're not drawing anything, you know, that wouldn't be
suggestive. Yeah, but it's just that if it can be interpreted in the wrong way, or the way you haven't intended it, because this isn't what you intended for this illustration.
Right.
So you're just careful. You just need to take a second look, and sometimes you don't catch it. Usually you catch my misinterpretations or mistakes. It takes a second set of eyes sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is not that you're doing it intentionally to try to get a message across. It's just that's what happens. So if I were to look at a picture of my dog sitting down, his hind leg would be right here. And my dog sits very weird too. He sits with his legs extended. But I wouldn't do that here. I would go ahead and give it a space. And even though that is not anatomically correct, that's when you have to break the rules. That's when you cannot rely so much on reference and just draw what you see. You have to make some changes. And so you're right on that candle should not have been there. It's also very uncomfortable how close it is to the edge of this here. So we're taking all of this.
This poor mouse father.
So this
going on.
The story is nice. The idea of it, the moment is nice, but it's not successful. It's not working out.
Yeah, and he's the focal point. You want him to stand out and not get interrupted by these other.
Right. So it was a good attempt, but it was not a success. So
I love his gestures, though. I love the expression on his face. He's really lively and excited. You can tell he's like super excited about the story he's telling. He really with emotion.
Thanks. So this is what we were talked about when we talked about how to make a portfolio and what to. You think about the entire scenery. This grandfather is telling the story. The kid is so distracted by this story that his soup is spilling from his he's making a mess out of his soup and he doesn't even notice it. He's supposed to be sleeping, but here he is paying attention to the story. So that's where storytelling comes in. when you put the secondary reads to complement your first read.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to cover on this, or I think we got
Oh,
it?
no, I think that was great.
Yeah. So like I said, we would, when we do draw overs and when we do portfolios, I mean, we really get in there and explain every detail on how to make it better. But this was a quick overview to complement the podcast that we did. That was using examples of old work because I knew it had all those things that we talked about in the podcast that we were trying to address. So it's good to keep old work for that reason, not to display it, but to go back and be able to see how you can fix things and the mistakes that you were making.
Yeah.
So hopefully that was helpful.
I think so. I learned a lot. Okay.
Good. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks.
All right. You're welcome. We'll see you next time.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Bye.